Daniele's on.
I have
So, Doug, are you done with school?
Just in case.
Okay.
We have another week to go.
Of classes?
Yeah, I'm kind of done. I'm writing some. I did my practicals the last couple of days, and I've just got some finals we have to do. So, but yeah, we're heading into the graduation season. So we'll.
Yeah.
We took our Siemens test yesterday, Doug, and
Oh.
at graduation, I don't know the results yet. I had 16 take it, but I've got 12 full-time positions that started over $15 an hour and only 8 graduates.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we're going to be graduating I think there'll be about 27 going out.
Oh, wow.
And I think they've all but maybe 2 have jobs, only because they're holding out. One guy just got an offer from Tesla yesterday from Reno, so he's going out there.
Ooh.
He worked that one himself. We don't have any contacts there. But,
Yeah. Wow.
but yeah, we're looking good for fall. So right now we have about 108 students.
They've reached out to us, and I've had some students interview with them, but you know, they're in this big problem right now where they can't get all their automation to integrate, and having a problem with the production of their Model 3s.
Yep,
And
that's what
I wish if they listened to us, Doug, we could provide some mechatronics students that would help them.
There you go.
They were pretty happy to see him show up on their doorstep because, and you guys being out more in the automotive area, I can see where they would reach out to you guys. But this kid kind of did the snooping around himself, and he came back and it was his dream job. He already had an offer from somebody else, but he said, if I get this one, and that company that he was already with said, well, that's pretty much a long shot. And then he got a call, and they said, we want you. And they're paying to move him and everything. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of like, 4-year engineering stuff, It's
yeah, that's really great.
He's pretty happy.
I guess so.
So we've had a new member join, John.
Oh, yes. John.
Hello.
John is actually the evaluator for Gary's grant.
Okay.
Gary Morgan's grant. He joined us last time when we were in Texas also. And at that time, it was just really fortuitous that one of the folks that was on the line from Stevens College, I think it was, had also built the Gary's trainer and was using it and talked about using it after we got done with the little demonstration in Texas. So it was that was good.
We just got all of our parts this week to build Gary's trainer the last week of classes.
Oh, well, that's
so
something you can do next year or whenever.
I'm going to work on it with the Fab Lab techs this summer. I've 3D printed all the parts, so I'm going to try to be building that trainer.
Oh, good.
And I watched the video that you guys had from the last meeting to see. That was very interesting.
Yeah, they have their issues down there in Texas, but that's the facility, that's the college that Toyota works with down there, and has an academy. They have a high school program, kind of dual enrollment, but and then they have a academy at the college, and the college is one of those FAME programs where they've got their consortium of industries. Toyota's a big player, and the kids go to school in the cohort, and then each one of them is sort of like an apprentice, because each one of them has a job with one of the companies in the consortium, and it's called this. Do you guys know about that FAME model, Kentucky FAME?
I do not.
So it works sort of like that. I think of it more as a co-op kind of arrangement as opposed to apprenticeship, but and it started in Kentucky, and it's now kind of spread like wildfire as a model for what people would call earn and learn, and the companies commit to hiring the students. I think the minimum is that the pay rate will cover there's tuition and books and their school expenses, so they don't have to take out loans for school, and they're debt free when they graduate.
Wow.
And so they have that program in San Antonio. So the kids go to school. That arrangement varies from location to location, but they go to school 2 days and they go to work 3 days during the semester, and they start in their second semester. And they continue that, and they go to work in this I think they continue the school work through that first summer. So it's like 5 semesters, 5 semesters. And then, they may or may not get hired by that company or one or the others in the consortium if there's more than one. Some places where Toyota is there, they might hire all 20 of the kids in the cohort, because those facilities are so big. But they've managed to adopt it in places where they're just consortia of industries, kind of trailing behind the Toyotas and the Hyundais and those guys. They're suppliers. So if there's a place where there's a smaller car manufacturer but a lot of suppliers, then they develop a consortium. They all agree to pay the same rate, and agree on the curriculum, which is pretty much straight mechatronics. And then, the hiring thing is open at the end, depending on their business.
What's that
and
called?
stuff.
FAME?
FAME. It's Federation for something. And it's grown big enough that they actually have a conference this month, or in May. This year it's in San Antonio. It started out in Kentucky, and out of this automotive industry. So it's some blend between a co-op thing and because the co-op might be individual, and a apprentice program, but they've got their own schedule of stuff going on. So yeah, they've got a lot of information online about it. And the NCP.
It sounds nice because when you say apprentice or like intern or what's the official word? I guess the real thing is apprentice.
Registered apprentice might be the official.
Companies run like crazy because they think it's all this paperwork and all of these red tape and rules and regulations. So this sounds like it might be something that you could adapt to each area. Yeah,
exactly, and that's what has happened. The work schedule varies from place to place, and the companies all agree, sort of like those apprenticeship consortia, as to they agree on the curriculum. That they'll take on X number, and they decide how many they can accommodate, and the kids go through these programs in a cohort. So it's a good thing. You should check it out online. We could get somebody to talk about it sometime next fall.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Marilyn, would you like for me to start about
sure
business and industry relationships? So,
yeah.
And I see Dan Davidchek has joined. Hey, Dan.
Are you muted, Dan?
He might be just with us in spirit.
Yeah, I might be working on his audio.
So Marilyn asked me to talk about business and industry relationships and kind of the values that brings to the program. So I guess I want to start off really broad. Our mechatronics degree has a coordinated internship that's a required 3-credit class. So that kind of demands that we keep a good relationship with business and industry. And fortunately, we were able to get a half-time industry liaison through our NSF grant. And that's been really helpful. Mike Howell is his name, and he works as an advanced manufacturing career coach in the high school and then as an industry liaison. So he helps us place our students in the internships and do the evaluation. We also had a mentorship program in the grant, and that's proven to be very successful. We had an older student who was ex-military who really wanted to really tell us how to run the program or how the classes needed to be taught. And it was an awful lot of, put it bluntly, the secretary had her finger on the panic button one day. So he was pretty much resistive to everything. And through the mentorship program and his partner in industry guiding him. Don't worry, don't sweat the small stuff, and just retooled him and re-guided him back in the right direction. So that was a really big success story, I think, through working with industry and having someone out in the real world saying the same thing that the faculty says, but for some reason, students are a little bit more receptive to an industry mentor.
So, Dan, what happens when your grant money is gone? Uh-oh, did I lose you? Did you lose me? Dan?
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that.
We don't know, we don't have funding for him afterwards. He's still an adjunct teacher, so he's still going to kind of help me with this. What I'd like to do is try to get industry to continue to fund him. So we're starting a small consortium of manufacturers, but we've had to stay out of it. They want it to be just manufacturers for manufacturing for its first initial meetings, and then they're going to bring in the educational partners. So I'm hoping that will be an outcome of our consortium, is funding an industry liaison. Somebody to work with the high schools and the colleges to help them find the talent they need.
Right, okay. That sounds great.
And then the other thing I was going to add, along with internships and mentorships, is we've had like general managers and vice presidents of manufacturing bring their current employees to the college and show them the mechatronics program, and have been so bold as to say, if you graduate with this degree, you can get promoted and have a longer career at our company. So that's been a big advantage. Plastics One, where I used to work, is also doing that and taking our interns. And the last thing that we did to really cultivate these relationships is doing customized training for the companies. I've done PLC training for companies in maintenance and then in their engineering employees. We've done electronics training for a night vision goggle manufacturer, and then I did some machining training for a precision jeweler.
Hey, Dan?
Yes.
Hey, Doug here. When you do that training, that customized training, is that for credit? First, two questions. Is that for credit or is that for non-credit through your business and industry? And then also, are you doing PLC training basically based on your day program or what you offer, or is that something that the customers say, hey, we're using this particular PLC and we want this one taught?
So it was done for non-credit.
Okay.
And so that was able to earn some extra money on the side. So that helps for faculty to earn extra income, because you can charge a different rate when you do that.
Yep.
They came in, they always said they wanted something customized. They'll use Mitsubishi PLCs. And then when you really get down to the brass tacks, they really just want a generic ladder logic PLC programming. And then they'll teach them the specifics. They'll help us get the software that they need if it's Mitsubishi or GE or someone else.
Okay.
But that's been mainly, it's based off our academic program, and
Okay.
it is non-credit. But I do want to let you all know I put forth a proposal that was accepted this semester for credit for prior learning. If a student goes through our workforce program and gets the Siemens Mechatronics certification, they're going to get 13 credits, academic credits. So it's three credit classes and one 4-credit class if they pass it. So I have mapped all 4 courses to those certifications, and I have at least a 70% or greater map on all of them. So that's why we were able to do that.
Oh, neat. Sounds good.
And then, go ahead.
So they take the Siemens without the courses? How do they prepare for the Siemens?
So Workforce offers like an 8-week or a 13-week intensive training. Well, they'll run it every day or every night. And they take the MT1 test and they take the Siemens test. And so I've had a lot of those students come through Workforce after they get employed. Employers will pay for them to continue their education. And we had a lot of overlap. I mean, students were taking pneumatics and hydraulics going, I already did this. So I tried it once without doing the relationship, and then this coming year we'll try it with giving them the credit. Nothing's perfect, but a student makes a C in a class, that means they made a 70 or better and they passed the class. So that's kind of how SACs, we had to use a template formed, and I'm trying to remember it's CAEL, it was a group CAEL, and they had a template.
Yeah.
They had a template for mapping the certification to the courses.
Right. Okay.
So the hope is that would help an adult learner, and they could continue their education, and they would have a little bit more skin in the game to continue.
Yeah, we have a statewide articulation, so it's housed in the Department of Ed for that lower level for MSSC, where they can, if they have a current valid certification credential from MSSC, they get credit for some courses once they're enrolled and are around for so long, and there's all those college requirements, but then they don't have to take especially some of those entry-level courses. And they're trying to do it here starting this summer with some training, training at industry for some of the PMMI courses, and they've mapped the program courses to some of those PMMI credentials, and they're going to be teaching that on site. I think it might be in an Amazon facility, and then having them take those assessments, and then they would be able to get credit. But those are pretty specific, so they're kind of easy to map to a course. The fluid power is hydraulics and pneumatics kind of thing. So they're actually, we'll see how it goes if they take enough of those PMMI things, if they come into the academic program for more. So it'll be interesting.
And then switching gears, or just kind of completing the discussion about the involvement with industry, the last thing that we did was work with our economic development partners. So we have a regional economic development entity, which has been really helpful. We had kind of Roanoke City competing with Roanoke County, competing with Salem, and they all were fighting for the same. So finally, someone was smart about a decade ago and started a regional economic development initiative for Roanoke. And we recruited Eldor, Deschutes, and Ballast Point, and just yesterday we were asked to give another tour for a window and door manufacturer from Poland.
Wow.
They're looking to expand. So it's been like we're a guaranteed stop every time the Regional Economic Development Group brings a manufacturer into our region. That's made the president real pleased. It's helped seal some deals. So I think that's just what I wanted to share with the group today, that's kind of how we have developed our business and industry relationships. And that's been based off listening to Marilyn and Elaine and the ATE community.
That's nice.
So do you have to have or do you have, like most programs, have some kind of official advisory committee or advisory board for your program that you have to report?
Yes, we do. And that's been, like, when I first started, we could only have 5 companies on our advisory committee, and I wanted a dozen. So I kind of broke the rule and did it anyway, and now they've come back and said they would like to have more than 5, and so the whole college is under new regulations for the advisory committee. The only thing that will really change for us is they don't want them to be on there for like 10 consecutive years. They'd like to have them come in and come off so they're not overwhelmed on a regular basis. And then the other thing that they're requiring, which is going to be, I think, beneficial, is they want the person to lead the committee from industry, not the faculty member.
Right.
And I like that idea. It's hard to get some of our advisory committee members to really stand up and own it. But I tell them that really I own it, and they're just there,
in the front seat.
Right. I'll do the work if they stand up and make the decisions.
Right.
But it took me a little while. I put that in place, and I looked around the room, and nobody's hand would raise, and I tried to volunteer some people, and they started running. So I had to kind of just back them down off the ledge and say, look, I'll do the work. I just need for you to speak what you need, and then I'll make it happen.
Kind of run through the agenda or whatever is on the table.
Right.
For that. So what do they, what's on those agendas?
So when we meet, the first thing we do is I go over the equipment that we have in the lab, and then I go over the curriculum. And I always try to go too deep in the curriculum, but some in the room like it. Some it's a little bit too much, but mainly, that's why we added physics. We changed our math requirements around, but it's basically listening to them, teaching what they want us to teach.
Right. Okay.
The second thing after we go through the curriculum, and we had one this year, Maryland, after I had like an open house, and what happened this year was some of the companies aren't as high end. They're maybe shot manufacturers where they recycle metal and make metal shots instead of sandblasting. Some of those were saying the curriculum was too rigorous and too hard for what they need. But what I said there was, we have A students, we have B students, and we have C students. And maybe that's a location for the students that don't perform quite as well to go for some of these companies that might not need as sharp a student. And that kind of diffused that situation. This guy was getting a little bit, this is way too hard. It's more than we need in an associate's degree. And, it was a way that I kept building consensus because that was less than 10% of the whole group.
I gotcha. Okay. So, Doug, what about you? Do you have a committee, official committee?
Yeah, we do. We have, a matter of fact, I have to have a spring meeting. Probably I have to save the date out there. We have 2 a year, and we have probably, I would say 20 members, and that kind of fluctuates. We have a chair, and I work with the chair to set the agenda. And
so that's an industry person.
Correct.
The chair? Yeah. Okay.
And it's mainly manufacturing. I won't name the companies, but they're anything from, there's some food, there's some ag, then just pure manufacturing. Our biggest one that's probably the one that stands out is 3M. They have a big presence with us. But same thing as Dan kind of said, at first we had the decision makers in the room that were, the guys that could, and gals that could make things happen in their companies. But now that like most of the programs around have been around a while, they understand what mechatronics is about. And now we see more of the people that are closer to the production area that come in, that know what they're looking for. And like Dan was saying, when we get into the curriculum things where we want to maybe change something or remove something and upgrade to some other course, they kind of get it. But I still like having HR people and owners, those people that have buy-in, and they enjoy coming. We usually feature 2 students. They have to talk for about 10 minutes about why they're in mechatronics, if they have any job offers, and if they don't, there's always business cards exchanged at the end of the at the end of the meeting. So yeah, kind of the same thing. We hold it to 2 hours, and we do a tour afterwards. But we talk about issues that are concerning us, maybe space. How are we dealing with recruiting and those kinds of things. So yeah, kind of the same thing.
So Dan, are you on audio now?
Dan David check.
I think we could go around the room here.
I see he's there. He's rejoined, but he is on mute.
Oh. Okay.
I just unmuted him. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
He must be having some technical difficulties.
Right. Oh no, he says yes, he can hear everyone. I see that in the chat box. I guess he might be talking away and we can't hear him.
Here, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, awesome.
I had the mute button before, but I couldn't hear anybody, and now I didn't have the mute button. Thank you for doing that. No, I've been listening. I'm able to get in the second time. Thanks for the tip.
So Dan, could you talk to us a little bit about how you work with your advisory committee and your industry partners?
Sure. Well, what we have done with the grant I'm on right now, and is kind of we have a business industry leadership team, and what we're doing with our mechatronics program is we have the electromechanical pathway, and we're developing a process instrumentation and control pathway. So we have an advisory board for mechatronics, and we work closely with the chamber, and we work closely with the new businesses that are looking at coming into Columbus. And they're actually, Nebraska is a public power provided state, and the economic development area, the development president of that council is also vice president of the power district, and they own a lot of the land, and the power district provides power to everybody, so they can there's kind of a connection there. So we're in the loop through the economic development and that side. Whenever there's businesses that are looking to come in, and depending on what they're doing, we of course will show them the relative program or programs at the college. More specifically, though, with our mechatronics program, what we are doing for our business industry leadership team pathway is we have about 30 or 25 or 30 businesses, and we meet once a quarter, either electronically or in person. And at first it started out about a discussion of what were the skills, the knowledge, skills, and abilities that we wanted to see in the pathway, and we're kind of matching it with what we've seen with other programs. Then we refined that list. So for the better part of the first year, we did discuss more what they want to see as far as skills that a graduate of this pathway would have, and what equipment we're going to use that's based on what they have out in industry. And that information was all put together from kind of an input with the advisory group, and we took the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and we refined it into an instructional design for the courses, and we bounced that back off the committee, and we had a lot of ad hoc meetings. But we meet every week. We're meeting with different business people in some sort of a subgroup meeting to talk about specific aspects of what we're doing to develop this thing, and it is really it's been an extension with a lot of businesses that we're currently working with, but we've also we've offered through new partnerships with new vendors that are more instrumentation than maybe more manufacturing. They're more process industry. There are no process programs in the state of Nebraska. I should mention that. So some of these businesses will hire somebody who's got an electromechanical or mechatronics type background or electronics background, and they'll cross-train them, and it'll take them a couple of years to get them trained up to a point where they're actually able to work with some of the process-specific things. So there's a lot of new businesses that have been brought in through some of the vendors we're working with, and the way we've realized that is we've started to partner to offer training in partnership with some of these vendors and also with some of the industry reps like ISA. We've had them do some training. We've worked with Emerson. We had 49 businesses that signed up for something. 25, I think they were from 25 different businesses, and like 19 of them were new to our college. They were coming from places where we just hadn't had that connection through the other side of our mechatronics program. So we're expanding our horizons with the group of people that we've been working with for a number of years, and we're more aggressively talking about developing curriculum and specific courses and building our labs. And we have in fact, I just had a business person that came into my office, and he's meeting with us on our injection molding that we're looking to bring in with another business in town. And we're pretty proactive about meeting with the businesses, bringing them in, show them the equipment, like Dan, like you alluded to, and like Doug alluded to. I think you got to get them on the campus. You got to show them what you have for capacity, and you got to talk about what you used to do so that you can figure out what it is that they need. And we do that quite a lot. And I would tell you that this is a lot more with the instrumentation side. This is a lot more of it's taking longer than I would have expected it to take, just between building a lab that doesn't exist and obtaining equipment and working through the different infrastructure of the different vendors we're working with. And you have issues with competitive vendors because we're working with a half a dozen different vendors, some of which are major competitors with each other. And it's been a lot of the needs of what the business have brought to bear on that. In other words, that partnership that we've had and the fact that they're the ones that are really driving us to have this program has been very helpful. And if we didn't have that, I don't think some of those bigger businesses would probably give us as much time. So it's a really critical thing to keep developing for us, that relationship. And if we didn't provide them what they needed 5 years from now, we would be withering on the vine. I rambled a lot there. I don't know if I really gave you anything new there. Sorry.
No, well, I think success breeds success, and that maybe working with the smaller companies and they have success encourage the bigger companies to participate. That's good for all to hear.
Yeah, nice.
I think there's an easy way to do something like what we're trying to do, and then there's an economical way to do it, and the two aren't really the same. And obviously.
Yep, we understand.
Obviously, we're a community college like everybody, and we're going to try to be efficient and buy a dollar's worth of stuff for a nickel. So, it's the partnerships are really key in doing that, though.
So, I have a question, Dan. What's the? I think in your grant you were making how many new courses? Not the full program thing, right? You're making 6 new courses or 4?
Yeah, 6 new courses.
6 courses.
I'm teaching one of them right now, the first course, and the next 2 are being developed to be offered in the fall.
Okay.
And the following 3 would be offering in the spring.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of the timeline right now.
Right. So the big focus on curriculum is to get that right now is to differentiate this from the regular program and also to get that content and coverage, whatever, defined and what's needed and that kind of stuff. So did you just do the matrix thing going through the skills and knowledge, skills, and abilities? That approach?
Well, yeah, I did. I used the built approach, really working with Ann Behaler from the CTC, and she helped us, especially when we got started. And I consult with her periodically about what we're doing next. But we worked on a matrix. But Ann's advice was always to make sure that when you're working with developing curriculum and you separate the actual education responsibility part of it from the actual substance or the content. In other words, don't have the businesses advising you what to put in what course. That's not really what they should be doing. And that's why we kind of keep it at, we get a matrix of knowledge, skills, and abilities.
Yeah.
And I'm not wanting to talk about them like they're competencies and learning outcomes. Well, no, not learning outcomes, like objectives and performance criteria and things of that nature. But the overlap I will share, and I share the finished document, and for the most part it's been pretty well received. But it seemed like it would be easier in the design than it actually is in the implementation.
Interesting. So what's the hardest part?
Oh, well, we're not buying a curriculum, and we're custom building our lab. So the hardest part is just kind of walking it over and building it, I guess, from scratch.
So I guess what I was thinking is it hard to define what is the course, because you're building some new courses, what content should be in courses, or how to divide the content into those kinds of packages that we call courses in academics.
Yeah, some of that is difficult, but honestly, since we don't have any sister programs that are teaching this in the state, our closest ones are in neighboring states. It's it's kind of the knowledge level of some of the detailed nitty-gritty things, and it's just a trial and error to some degree for me to this is how I think I should do this. I've had, this is how other schools are doing it. Of course, you can't tell by a visit and them sharing some of their information. You got to do it, and your lab is different from their lab, so
Right. Exactly. So did you do the same thing for your mechatronics, the other strands you have?
Yes and no. Actually, we had a really big partnership with Festo about 13, 14 years ago. Actually, it started even longer than that, more than 15 years ago. And Festo, with them, we bought a lot of Festo equipment with some help from Festo to do that earlier in the day. And we've amassed quite a bit of equipment, and some of that had curriculum that we could modify to fit to that situation because we were using their equipment. So what we're doing here, we're not buying a trainer from any of the major vendors who would make that. Festo is one for sure too, but we've got smaller components, but instead we're custom building things. And so the time that's spent by a vendor to design a textbook and a workbook that you might be able to modify is we have a textbook that we're using that some other schools are using, but I don't have any lab, similar lab components, and that's taken a lot of time really. And I'm just really getting started into developing that aspect of it. So it's, and I'm new to how we do this here, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
And business is helpful. I mean, they are certainly without them, I would be probably swimming in the deep end without a life preserver for a long time.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks. I'd like to see your knowledge, skills, and abilities if you've got that someplace, something that we can share someday.
Yeah. I could
That'd be great.
be happy to get that out there.
Okay.
Thank you for your willingness to share.
Yeah, definitely. So, what else? I thought we should have a discussion because our group seems to get smaller. I don't know if it's just because it's the end of the semester, what we should plan on. This is the last scheduled session for this year, and maybe we should talk a little bit who's on the phone right now about the fall and what we might want to do with this platform, or if there's something we should do to try to engage some other people again, or anyway, just looking for some thoughts on next steps.
Well, Marilyn, there is a school that is, I don't know that they've been awarded an ATE grant yet, but they're doing something with instrumentation and maybe mechatronics. I shared with them that I didn't share specifically with their instructor, but the instructor in the program responded back to me. He'd be very interested in being part of this group, and I don't know how they've evolved, but I'll try to introduce you guys electronically.
Okay, that great. I mean, maybe that's one approach that I'll try to bring someone onto the meeting at some time. How about you, Dan? You got any suggestions or ideas or thoughts?
I think
go ahead.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is working. This format really helps just getting together and talking and communicating. We learn so much from each other. I always learn from Doug and Dan, and I think anybody that gets on the call feels that way. We just maybe need to encourage them, maybe polling the right time of the day and what day of the week. Maybe we just picked a time that doesn't work for all.
Right. And I did get a couple of this wasn't a good time Friday mornings.
Yep.
And Friday afternoon everybody wanted to go home, so
I know, maybe a Wednesday afternoon or something.
So maybe the middle of the week, and later in the afternoon, or I don't know. I'll just ask you guys what works for the three of you.
Well,
I usually have Tuesday and Thursday labs, so Wednesday afternoons will work best, but let's listen to Doug.
Well, our schedules are they get beat up by the dean's office, so what we submit is not necessarily what's going to come true. So I never know, but I have no problem stepping out as long as it's not a lecture, because I have a person who can cover a lab for me.
I see.
I have no problem during the day, finding the time to step into these. I liked it when you moved it inside the day. When it was later on, a lot of times I'm in meetings after work, for different committees and such. So that's why I was absent for a number of meetings. So, but I'll work with the group. Like Dan said, this is very valuable, and I'm going to make a couple calls to some schools that I know that are kind of startups to see if they want to join it. One's a Minnesota school, one's a Vancouver school. So.
Okay. Where else in Minnesota?
It's Min West. They're starting a mechatronics program. They're about 60 miles away from us.
Okay.
And they probably look at us as a competitor, but I don't. With any of the schools in Minnesota, I have nothing but a big olive branch hanging out there. So they're more of an energy school. They're into wind and solar, but they do have a mechatronics core because, of course, we all know mechatronics is everything. So part of everything.
Maybe we can use that as our byline. Mechatronics is everything and everywhere. Okay, well, so Wednesday early in the afternoon, 1 or 2 o'clock, like in that time zone? Is that
works for me.
what I hear?
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Davidchek, does that work for you?
I doubt it. I have day and night classes that I'll be offering next fall, and typically the way our labs and classes are scheduled, the Tuesday and Thursday afternoons after 3 Central, we tend to reserve those times for different departmental meetings and committees and all things for faculty. But before that time, we tend to be in class. So I will do my best to make, if I can. I was late for this one because I was coming back from a lab, and then I'm a Yutz with apparently with the technology of getting into Skype. I had to use the app. I keep forgetting it's not the business one. It's the app that I have to use when I do this one.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll send out a poll. We've got about 30, I think, people on the email list. It's not huge, but we don't want it. I don't think we want it to be huge. And about 15 actually respond, yes, tentative, or no, and the rest of them don't. But I don't have a record of who's done what. That's just a word of my observation estimate from month to month. So I guess I would like it to be meaningful to people, and I think it is to those that are here, but I guess it'd also be nice if we could get a few more folks engaged and stay engaged. So we've had some people on for a semester or 2 semesters and then kind of drift away. I don't know if it's our job to harass them to come back, or if they're even there to come back. So I guess they still get their email. So
I'm sorry, Marilyn. What's our goal?
Well, it's just to provide this kind of a platform to share, and if it's valuable to who's on the phone, it's we just like to share it with others. It's particularly been valuable and probably used by people who have grants, but we've had others from ATE, but we've had others on it as well, and it was just a kind of outgrowth of the reception at High Tech of people meeting each other for the first time, and then being really interested in what others were doing with their programs, and then Dan and was it Greg Chapman having a one-on-one kind of conversation, or the two of them having a conversation and exchanging information on their 2 programs, different aspects of their 2 programs, that kind of was the real physical beginning of this platform. And then I was
trying to start a Fab Lab, Dan, and he was trying to start a mechatronics program. So we just got on the phone and said, hey, let's talk about what worked and what didn't work, and it helped me get my Fab Lab up running and him get his mechatronics program up running more efficiently.
Yeah. And then we took that as kind of the seed to invite some others to join, and particularly those who were at the people that came to the reception at the High Tech conference are people we met at the PI meeting to join us and share their problems, questions, and also their grant results, because this is a good audience for the stuff we're all trying to do with our grants and the programs, and a good place to find somebody to test something, and like a number of people who have gone off and built the trainers that we've seen for these low-cost trainers that are out there. So I think that's it's a good kind of vehicle for dissemination for the grants people. But I just would like it to be a community. And one we did a couple of times. We had speakers come in. We went through the round of talking to the different organizations that have credentials in the mechatronics area. We had somebody from the NIMS with their new industrial thing. We had somebody from PMMI come and talk about what they've done. And we can certainly go back to that, or go to kind of like a half a webinar thing where somebody just talks about their whatever aspect of their program just in order to share and to just whatever comes out of it, or find a new partner for something, or somebody to pilot some work you're doing. That's kind of just a platform. Since many of the programs are just one or two people, I guess is one of the
it's nice to bounce and get validation on ideas.
That if you don't have other full-time faculty, it's sometimes hard to to know if you're going down the right path, or a path someone else has already gone down. So, all right. Well,
Marilyn, it was very productive today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I do have one opportunity for everyone here quickly before we leave. If somebody's interested, the group that we were trying to partner with at one time, that became the Mechatronics Education.org forum, that was more 4-year programs. They did start a webinar series, and they've asked me to do one on the 2-year programs on, let me get the calendar out. It's the end of May. I think it's May 30th. And I said I would do that, but I would be interested in anyone who wants to share anything particular about your programs. And so it's an hour webinar. I don't have the time written down right now, but it's early in the afternoon. I would say 1 o'clock Eastern right now, and to get on for 5 or 10 minutes and and share what you're doing. I think they would be awesomely surprised to hear from faculty the kinds of things that are happening in the 2-year programs, because they're so focused on kind of research as an outlet for all of their hands-on experiences. So I can send you all the dates if you think you're interested. You wouldn't have to do too much for long, but you would have to put a couple slides together about your program, some pictures of your equipment in your labs. Very different from, I've been on these webinars from when the colleges are sending their, talking about their different programs. We have very different kinds of equipment than they do, much more research-based, testing new things, as opposed to what I've seen in the mechatronics labs in the different community and state colleges. So I'll send out the date and time, and you can answer yourselves, unless somebody wants to jump up right now and say they'd love to do it.
I'd love to do it. What date is that again?
It's the 30th, May 30th.
Yeah, I think I'm still here, so can you just send me the details, and I'll do everything I can.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to maybe help you out too. So.
I think it's a good opportunity to show where they, like I said, to kind of show off that we're doing some real cool stuff, as well as the cool stuff that they're doing. It's just has a little different flavor for getting the technicians trained and getting the engineers and researchers trained. And I would like them to have a little bit of appreciation and knowledge on that. So, all right, I'll send that out. And gosh, everybody have a good end of the semester, and I'll see a couple of you at High Tech. Dan Davidchuk, are you coming to High Tech this year?
I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this year. Maybe I'm targeting hopefully next year. We're going to be in the middle of some lab construction, and I'm thinking that my summer is going to be volatile. So I'm not. I'd like to present something or partner with you guys to be involved with something. And I like high tech. I'm trying to get some other folks to go with it too. But Doug Polly and I are the ones that are really that have been to high tech, that are from the college. That and I'll tell you what. It's just a busy summer. Let's put it that way.
It sounds like if you got construction going on.
Thank you, Marilyn. I have to run. Thank you, Dan, and see you, Doug.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Marilyn.
I guess we can all say goodbye and have a great end of the semester, whatever's left of it for all of you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Marilyn.
Yes?
Hey, can we have a discussion sometime early next week regarding high tech?
Sure. I can.
Yeah, I was just curious if Dan was going to be able to bring equipment, because it might be a little hard for me.
Yeah, I guess we'll need to talk about that with him. I don't know that we've, both of you said you could. I can pay for shipping, but I don't know if that's the issue, or if it's just getting your hands on the equipment.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's getting it there for me, because I may not be here, but if I know soon enough, maybe I can get stuff worked out, have them all ready to go.
Okay. When are you done? I was thinking we would do this in the first part of May, have this kind of conversation, because I know you guys are both really kind of busy right now with school wrapping up.
That'll be fine. Let's have that discussion in May. I lose my tech.
Okay.
Over the summer, and I'm going to be in Colorado, so I'll fly out of Colorado, and I did get my approval sheet yesterday that Dr. Parker signed off on me going.
Okay.
So,
okay, great.
With the intention that you were going to be kind of my financial angel, but
yes. Did you get the? Were you interested in participating in that other thing that came? It's being organized by Mike Wasecki.
I need to look at that. Yeah, I didn't read through it, to be honest with you, but I saw it and I earmarked it, so I just got to go back and look at it.
Okay, so it's just quickly, it's on Monday afternoon. So they've got actually some money for travel in there and codes, which is either way or another. But it's Monday afternoon, and it's an effort to try to. The goal of this project is to work with some project PIs and past PIs and current PIs and maybe future PIs. I'm not sure who all was invited, but they invited they're looking for a group of about 25 to 28 to talk about just a little bit about the grants, how they work, and a lot about industry and how to get and keep industry connected. And what one goal is to get more industry to high tech,
Sure.
and to participate in the high tech conference. So it's an afternoon on Monday, and then Tuesday would be our workshop. But Tuesday, connected to the educator forum, there's also an all-day forum for industry. So we're actually recruiting industry people to come to that, and then there's going to be some kind of mingling or something sometime. I forget when, but that's what it says in the prospectus, that we're really trying to build up the conference and particularly in the industry sector.
Okay, and I'll look at my travel to see, because I was coming in, I think, a little later on Monday, just because that's how the flights worked out. But I'll check to see if there's something else.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, just read through that thing real quick. It's only one little page, and I think you got to go to a Google Doc and put your name in a form. It's a really short form, I think, to say if you can do it. And I mean, so you can. I think that opportunity has 2 nights of travel. I'm not positive right this minute, but I can cover whatever else you need.
Okay.
I mean, the hotel part, as well as the travel. So if you need one more night, we would shift a couple to that project, I guess, and I can just take care of the rest.
I gotcha. Okay. Alrighty.
All right.
All
Well,
right. We'll talk more then. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye.